Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. If you will enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments to help me boost this video. Thanks. Story 1. You might add me to a future novel. Yes, please. This is from 2009 to 2010, but still pleases me. Used a cashier at a major retail store whose worldwide employee count shames every singular standing army, or so I'm told. Shrugs on the evening in question. I was running the tobacco aisle register. For fun, I enjoyed reading the attitude shirts customers wore in, and would from time to time comment on them without warning. The confused looks some people would give me for that bit of fun. The shirt, careful, or I'll put you in my next novel. I read the shirt while continuing to ring and pack her order. I look into her face, a perhaps slightly puzzled expression on my face. Are you? Smiling, she agrees. I am. Now I'm getting excited. Are you? Somehow, with only those 2 words, we were still in complete sync on what we were saying. Again she says, I am. Turns out that in my little corner of the world, we have at least one local international best-selling fiction writer whose current's still going on for the next several years. And its 2022 series was doing so well that book number 3 in the series, Mind, came out in hardback. Happy for her, of course, but for myself. Admitted I was waiting for it in paperback, so they'd all be in the same sort of book. Told me it had just come out in paperback. Had me bouncing. Chatted about her books, about a certain choice she'd made once before, and why she'd done something different in book 1 of this series. I pointed out that book number 2 of the would have been hard to write with the character she'd killed off staying dead, and she did find a decent reason to my mind for his return. As for the something in the first book of this series, people die. Having this character who'd had so many bad things go wrong in their life, finally getting a chance to make things go well be killed. Didn't like that it happened, but it happened for a purpose. Liking a character won't mean they stay alive. The conversation wandered from there, but I did tell her to feel free to use me in a future novel if she liked. She did have a walk and roll for a cashier of said retail giant, but I can't say I could see myself in it. Grins. Story 2. An English tutor, but this is the first job I've ever had. As someone majoring in creative writing, I figured being an English tutor would not only help me socialize more with others, but also look good on my application, and help me learn how to apply the language on a more technical level. And since I'm a tutor for a science class, I also get to learn about a subject that I know just a tad bit about, so I get to learn with the other students, too. So far, 5 weeks have passed, meaning we're halfway through the fall quarter, and yet I feel like a lot of students don't know what my job is. Take, for example, an incident last week. Because there was an uneven number of students in the class one day, I decided to sit next to a student who didn't have a partner. Because the 2 teaching assistants for the class gave others materials they needed for that day's exercise. Skipping me for obvious reasons, the student turned to me immediately and asked, "Are you a student here or?" Trying to be witty with my remark, I replied, "Usually not, but today I am." Because again, this happened during week 4, so everyone should be familiar with the class staff by now, and if not, I post messages to the class every day, each post being signed off with my name. So we went over the project together during the next 30 minutes. Every time he has a question, though, rather than asking the English tutor literally sitting right next to him and actively working with him, he asks the other 2 teaching assistants walking around. I was kind of infuriated that I was being ignored, because what's the point of helping students when those same students ignore you? But I also felt he'll eventually learn my role the more I'm being pointed to. Next week, though, there will be mandatory workshops that students have to join, so I'm looking forward to reintroducing myself not only to him, but others as well. Edit. Okay, y'all. I just woke up and I notice everyone's asking why didn't I tell him right then. And they're about who I actually am. There are 3 reasons for that. The first reason is that soon I'll be having mandatory workshops with a handful of other students from the class, so when I go, I'll actually be hitting a couple of birds with a rock when I tell them all my position rather than hitting one bird with one stone. He'll no doubt be there since it's mandatory. Secondly, I already explained earlier, I'm working on socializing more. I know as a tutor it's kinda redundant not having these skills. already, but I also thought that, as a teaching member in the class, this incident will teach me how to converse and interact more with others. Which leads me on to the third reason. This incident and other future incidents will help me grow and learn how to tackle similar problems. I'm learning here, as are the students, and we're all not perfect. I agree I didn't handle the situation properly, which is why I'll actually reintroduce myself from now on. Should I be a teacher or a professor one day, I'll take a step back and learn from this moment. Story 3. And I do my job for free bucko. At 32F work AM, S at McDick's by where I live, and today I went in to get my check. I was wearing destroyed mom jeans, Crocs, and a like sports bra sort of thing. I love this regular who this story is about, and it just surprised me that he acted like this. He came in while I was there, and they were so busy. This dude seriously has been waiting for his food in the lobby instead of pulling into one of the reserved spots. You know, the ones we use specifically for holds. So obviously I don't have my check yet. So I just leaned slightly in the frame of the kitchen and grabbed a cup and go get some tea. I'm filling up my cup with the tea and came back up to wait for my check. This guy looks at me and says, "Oh, you work here so you can make my drinks for me, at least they're taking forever." I try to explain to him that it is against corporate policy to be behind the counter not in uniform. No one really cares about that, but this dude was being a prick about it, so it was based on principle. He starts to get loud, and I'm looking at him in disbelief. This man is yelling at me to do my job. Then my store manager heard him screaming, and she came out of the office and pulled me aside and asked what the dealio was. She told me to handle it however I wanted to, as I'm not on the clock. His face is beet red, and a vein is pulsing on his forehead. BC, he is that level of big mad about literally nothing. I said, "Tom, I don't know what you're going through right now. I'm not in uniform. I cannot go behind the counter or I could get fired. Screaming at me and other employees is disrespectful. Taking out your anger on any employee anywhere is not cool, especially not here. Please go get in your car and drive around to one of Hold's spots." My manager said it was, direct quote, "the most iconic way to tell a customer to fuck off, but still have your customer service mask on. We have some of the same friends, and I do know he used to smoke glass. But that would explain the behavior. Also, I think this dude is secretly a cop because he always orders his drinks with no ice. I feel like he calls Gatorade by the name of the flavor, and not the color too. I'm on tenterhooks waiting for Monday to find out what happened when they brought his food and drinks out. I'll post an update. Story 4. Can you hear me now? I cashiered at Danger Path for a year. Pretty much every place I've worked, I've stocked up on stories about either management, coworkers, customers, or some fun combination of all of the above. This job was especially memorable due to having lost my voice while working here, and it was gone for 2 months. It faded during one of my shifts until I simply could not force out anything. At the end of the first month, they decided I was too needed to worry about my inability to speak, which, as anyone who buys their own groceries can agree, talking is a good part of the job. Greeting, asking questions, exit greeting, answering questions. Well, I filled out 11 4x6 cards on both sides, and that covered nearly everything I'd need to say to customers without having to write it out fresh each time, including jokes. One day while I'm still voiceless, I'm working speedy check. A group of 3 20-somethings are next up, each buying their own items separately. No problem. The guy of the group is up first, and he's very busy chatting up the 2 girls with him. So busy, I can't get his attention. Happily, the next order belonging to one of the girls has a glass-encased candle. I pick it up and tap the metal part at the end of my belt, drawing his attention. With my handy pack of cards, I inform him that I don't currently have a voice, and point to his total. He rushes to pay. Smiling, I hand him his bags. When I finish selling the next order to one of the girls with him, she promptly states that she is paying attention and pays up without making me resort to banging on my station. Same happened with the second girl, too. It was pretty funny at the time, in a light-hearted way. Story 5. Righteous Grandma is almost right. Apparently I posted this to the wrong group. I didn't know this was the place. I'm a filmmaker and occasional actor in Oakland, California. which if you saw the film Fruitvale Station by Ryan Coogler, you get some idea of the city and location. Some tough sections, heavily Africa-American city with a commuter rail system. A friend wants to make a film including a scene some AA young ladies getting hassled by a racist. I fit the look of a blue-collar MAGA head. A day comes to film. We're at the BART station and I'm wearing my costume. A director calls. Action. The girls are grooving to a boom box and I come up the steps. It's improv and I'm playing the character as a tired guy coming home who has no patience for any young people's shit, but holding back my worst language for later in the scene. We get a couple of takes in and start to trust each other as actors to know we can really let loose. We start going at it, building a conflict, and it's escalating. I'm in character and getting pissed. Then we hear, "Oh hell, no." And a grandmother comes charging across the parking lot dragging a little girl. She gets between me and the young ladies and verbally starts laying into me, telling me to leave them alone. Get out of here. She going to call the cops, etc. I'm in the zone and all riled up. I start yelling back at her that I'm an actor. This is part of a scene. Go away. And I start punching a metal sign because I'm all pissed off. The ad comes over trying to calm her down. Then the director, but she's not having any of it. She's so upset. She wants me arrested for hassling the young women. And the young women try to calm her down. I've had to step back. Finally, she calms down enough to see she's surrounded by a crew with cameras, boom pole, clipboards, etc. She's embarrassed, but wants to justify her actions. Finally, she and the kid go to the trains. I reset. We all reset, laugh, and continue the scene. I honor her instincts, but wish she had better sense. I never saw a final cut, but would love to have those outtakes. Story 6. Hooper Scooper. Many years ago I was a snarky and largely antisocial teenager. Because of this I never had success in customer service jobs. I still don't for the most part. I was very lucky in high school to work as an in-home pet care provider. I would drive around and visit clients' homes while they were at work or on vacation, and take care of their animals, and do some light chores, bringing in mail and trash cans, water the occasional plant. I rarely encountered humans in this job, and it was perfect for me. Mostly I took care of dogs. Usually this just included a 30 minutes walk, and checking food and water. Some clients had large yards, and multiple dogs that allowed me to substitute walks for playtime in the yard. This was the case for 2 golden retrievers owned by a lesbian couple. Apparently this nice older couple had some issues with vandalism because of their orientation. Nobody ever mentioned this to me, or the situation probably would have been handled differently. It was a beautiful day in the early summer, and the dogs were playing together loudly while I used a large dustpan-looking contraption to collect their piles around the backyard. The noise must have caught the attention of the next-door neighbor, because suddenly I was being screamed at. Something along the lines of, "You better get out before I call the police." I snapped my head around and yelled WTF for. He continued with, "You're not supposed to be here. Pretty bold to be here in the middle of the day." I was so confused and irritated, and I responded, "WTF. Is your problem, dude?" He finally asks the question, "Do you have permission to be here?" To me, the scene was obvious. Honestly, I said, "No, sir. I just break into people's dead-bolted backyards and scoop dog shit for fun. I can't help it. Nobody pays me to do this," I swear, with all the attitude of a 16-year-old. He realized how it all looked after that, and he explained what had been going on, and we both apologized. But sometimes the memory pops in my head, and I can't help but laugh at how ridiculous it was. Obviously, I worked there. Story 7. Federal work-study issues. I do work here. So, I hope this belongs in this subreddit, and I've never posted before, so I hope this is okay. I originally was hired as a federal work-study FWS in the financial aid department of the community college I worked for, and still do for 2 years, until I was hired on full-time as an administrative assistant. At this community college, it is a come-one, come-all type of deal. We literally accept anyone and don't process federal loans, just grants, scholarships, and sponsorships, gift assistance, aid. I was passionate about my job, and it actually led me to the career I am in now. And it totally helped I had a rad boss. After I was hired full-time, I would still answer the phones for customer service assistance, which is what many of the FWS at that time normally did, so it was typical for when you called the college to get one. Not all FWS cared about their positions, or were even held accountable in other departments, as well as mine, so it was common for individuals to become upset over the phone and ask to speak to the real financial aid advisor. I had gotten my fair share of these when I was one, and I told someone something that they didn't like or refused to tell them due to FERPA laws. One day, after I was hired full-time and received my first college degree, I received one of these phone calls from an irate parent and student. Both were on the phone talking over each other. This was some years ago, so I don't remember who said what, but I will do my best to get as close as possible to the verbiage used so I remember very clearly. Opus, I'm sorry, but I can't disclose that information over the phone due to FERPA laws, but am happy to send the information to the secure student email. Holler C, no. You student workers don't know anything and don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any college education and just sit around all day doing nothing. Opus, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I am actually a full-time employee with a salary, not a student worker. I'm sorry you've had bad experiences in the past, but I cannot jeopardize my job or the college funding by releasing information that is protected by FERPA to an unknown source. See, well, you obviously don't have enough education to know anything you can and will tell me about why I can't receive financial aid. I'm sick and tired of this. You're lying. I know you are a student. No one ever answers the phone that isn't. Opus, I'm sorry you feel that way. Those individuals that you are mentioning are the people that work files, which have a bachelor's degree or above usually. I'm happy to transfer you to if you'd prefer to speak with one of them. However, I cannot guarantee that they will answer. They may be with a student. See, I knew you were a student worker. Yes, transfer me. Keep in mind, I had 3 associate's degrees, 6 years of schooling, but all right, lady, malicious compliance 2XD. I proceeded to transfer them to the one individual of someone I knew that was even stricter with information. Then I was literally no answers. No, I cannot disclose that. No, I will not, etc. I was mistaken for a student worker many times, but that's one I remember specifically. Story 8. Yes, I teach a college class. This happened a couple of years ago. I was teaching an Army ROTC class at a big university. There were 32,000 undergrads and absolutely inadequate parking for the faculty and staff who teach that many students. There was a pretty big parking garage where I normally parked. The first several levels were for faculty and staff. The top couple were for students. So I park my car, get out in here. Excuse me. I'm in my military uniform, which is very similar to what the cadets wear. I turn around and get told that these spots are for faculty and staff, which I acknowledge. Yes, I'm faculty. You teach a college course. You look a little young to teach here. So I gave a super condescending, "Oh, thank you." I try to take care of myself. I really appreciate that. I have to go teach now. You can check my pass. It says faculty and staff. Just don't touch my car. Story 9. I don't work here, but you seem nice. I was at the grocery store with my BF shopping for the whole week. As I am browsing the aisles, a sweet old lady walked up to me and asked if I knew where item X that she needed for cooking a new recipe is. Now, I have never used that item X myself and had no idea where it was. And the kind of person that will go out of my way to help someone if they are acting nice, but if someone is rude, I will never even lift a finger for them. So, since this lady was being sweet and nice, I tell her sorry. I don't know what this item would be located, but let me call over my BF. He works as a chef, so he might have a better idea. I call him over and ask if he knows where item X is, and he doesn't know either. The sweet old lady thanks us anyway and left the aisle. Now, my BF doesn't give up that easy, and while I continue shopping, his main task is to find item X. After 2 minutes, he comes to find me and says, "I found item X." It's with the Asian food products, so the next minute we both run around the store looking for sweet old lady. We found her and shows her where item X was. She was very happy and thanked us over and over. We said it was not a problem and we were happy to help. When we left the store, we felt like everyday heroes.